service. He has professionally, he is an educator, assistant principal at Harford County. He has served honorably as a member of the county council as a mayor of Harford Grace. He has served in the General Assembly, both as a member of the House of Delegates as well as a state senator. He has served, finishing up his second term as county executive of Harford County. And if you pay any attention to the news recently, he's got a bit of an announcement on Monday. So without any further ado, I introduce Harford County Executive David Craig.
Good morning. I'd like everybody just to think for a minute. When in your life was the very first time you were interested in political situation? When was the very first time you were thinking about why an election is important? Why it affects government? Let's tell you personally, mine was 1956, so a lot of you people didn't exist then. It was back in the days when very few people had televisions in their house. My grandmother lived with us, and my brother and my sister went out to play. I was 7 years old, and I sat with her and watched her turn the TV on to the Republican National Convention and listen to Dwight Eisenhower talk about why he should be reelected as President of the United States. And I thought, if my grandmother thinks this is important, this must be important. And as I learned things from her, I also learned she was 42 years old before she ever got to vote. She was born in the 1870s, and women were not allowed to vote until 1920. So that lasted a long time. And to take that around to one of the most important things you should be doing as young Republicans, but also as Marylanders, as Americans. You should be voting all the time. I've been voting since I was 21. I hadn't turned it to 18. I've never missed an election. I always go out and vote because my grandmother said it's important that you get out and vote. It's the only way you can turn things around. Now, when this is a little caution to some of the younger people, in 1976, I was the vice president of the Harford County Young Republican Club. So this is what you're going to look like someday if you stay involved. Now, Harford County at that time was 3-1 Democratic. 3-1 Democratic. 2 years ago, as county executive, it finally flipped over, becoming over 50% Republican. When I first ran for office in 1979 as a Harford Grace City Councilman, 35 elected officials in Harford County, 3 Republicans. That was it. But the Young Republican Club really worked hard, and we would reach out all the time. We would be knocking on doors, even when it wasn't an election, just handing out information, just getting people to register to vote, just seeing what their concerns were so we could do pre-information for people who were running for office. And then the next thing we did is we persuaded a lot of us to fill the vote when it was time for an election. One of the reasons we would lose elections is we didn't have enough candidates running. And I see that throughout the state. So often we have empty seats. I have an 8-year-old grandson who wrestles right now, and his team won their championship, but they had 5 empty seats. It was really tough for his team to do that. It's tough for us in Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and Baltimore City to win elections if we don't have anybody running for office. You know, if you don't run, you can't win. I've had many people say, all right, I'll make an announcement on Monday that I will be running for statewide office. And if you look at my background, 5 terms as mayor of Harvard Grace and 2.5 terms as the county executive, I think you can see that it's going to be on the executive side. And people say, what makes you think you can win? Well, the reality is if you don't run, you can't win. You got to get involved. Now, there are a couple things that many people wonder about, who we should select. And I know I'm down in Montgomery County, and I know this is probably the redskin area for some people. But if you look back a year ago, how many people thought that the Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl? Not many. I know Las Vegas did. What did they have? They had a good team, they had a good game plan, and they had a good leader. And they put it all together, and they turned it around, and they won. For 20 years I coached soccer, and that's what it was all about, having a good team. One year we went to the state championship. None of my players were on the All-Star team. Because I constantly told them, this is about our team winning. I don't care if you score a goal, I don't care what you do as an individual. Did the team win? Did we get to the end and win? When that team walked off the field at any given day, nobody knew if they had won or lost because they put it in the back of their head and they went, all right, the next game's coming up. So there were a lot of people depressed on November 6th when the presidential election went in the direction it did. Next day I got up, so I said, why are you smiling? I said, that election's over. It's time to get ready for the next election. Get that behind us. Look at what we did wrong. Look at what we did right. I know there were times when my team won and we hadn't played well. The other team just played worse. There were times when we lost and we had played really well. The other team just played better. You have to have a really good team plan. You got to make the other guy win first. All right, so let's look at your choices when you get to make a decision for what's coming up soon to change the state of Maryland. 40 new taxes. You know, this governor we have right now, when he ran in 2007, was beating out the previous governor about taxes and fees and all sorts of things. And since that time, he's raised 40 different taxes. This past session alone, 8 new taxes. The session before that, 11 new taxes. I caution you, don't die today because it's going to cost you twice as much to die as it did. Wow. Don't have a new baby today because it's going to cost you twice as much to get the birth certificate. Wow. Don't flush the toilet because it's going to cost you twice as much to flush it. Those are the types of things he did. Plus, he's taking more of your money out of your pocket. That's what government should. Government should be very cautious. Take as little money out of your pocket as possible. Spend it as efficiently as possible. So what can I offer you? I've been the county executive for approaching my 9th year. My predecessor had been appointed by Bob Early to be a cabinet level person, and I was the mayor of Havre de Grace at the time. Havre de Grace, very proud, the second oldest municipality in the state of Maryland, 18th largest municipality in the state of Maryland, 4th safest one of the few where I actually appointed a woman to be the chief of police. She does an excellent job of understanding what's going on and making sure that we live in a safe place. The only municipality in the last 7 years to lower their tax rate 7 years in a row because of the financial plan I developed for our city and the financial plan that my successor picked up off the desk and said, I love this idea. We went from 72 cents to 56 cents in our tax rate, which is very good, and he's going and continuing in the right direction. So what have I done as the county executive? We're the second safest county in the state of Maryland. Very safe place to live. 2008, the economy goes bad. We actually have more jobs in Harford County today than we had in 2008. 9 balanced budgets, lowered the tax rate twice. They didn't talk about lowering it, I lowered it twice. Tax cap, lowered it twice. Constant yield went below that 3 times. So 7 of my budgets, you can see, were that way. Lowered the size of my side of the government. Anything that's increased is only because of unfunded state mandates by our lovely Annapolis government, the way they continually throw things and say, I balanced my budget. I just forced the county to take care of that. And if you look at what's happened in our nation, how the economy's tanked, I actually took Harford County to AAA bond rating 2 years ago and maintained that the last 2 years, unlike what's happening in other places. So we reach out to a variety of people. Last time when I ran, some people said, how can you win in a Democratic state? It's not a Democratic state, it's a Maryland state. I'm a 10th generation Marylander. My family's been living here since 1660. But every week I get disappointed because somebody says, I'm moving. I'm moving to Florida because I don't want to pay the death tax. It would have been better to get rid of the death tax than the death penalty, I really think. I'm moving to Pennsylvania because I'm a military person. I don't want my pension taxed. I'm moving to Delaware because I don't want to pay these large taxes. I'm leaving. And I hear that all the time. The better way to do things, then we have a governor who says, look, I've lowered our budget, I've cut it. Budget's $8 billion more than it was when he took office. $8 billion more, but he still says I cut it. He didn't cut it. He raised it. And he raised taxes that in the next 5 years will cost us $20 billion. $20 billion. Took $3 billion out of our pockets in the last year and a half. That's not a good thing. The best way to balance your budget, I tell people, I love to eat pie. If you want a bigger piece of pie, it's better to have a bigger pie so that everybody can share, not just you. So make a 9-inch pie, don't make an 8-inch pie. We need a bigger economy. If we had more people living here, they'd be paying their property tax, their income tax. But different taxes affect us all over. I can tell you, Harford County, right across the border of Cecil County. 12 of their liquor stores just closed last month. They gave up their liquor license. Why? Because there's a new liquor tax. Well, a lot of people say, well, you don't want all this liquor sold. Well, why are you taxing it then? But 15 minutes, drive to Delaware, cheaper. I can tell you my wife has the best economic plan in the world because her belief in helping people is our 8 grandchildren. But when we buy a refrigerator, sorry, we go to Delaware. We don't want to pay that $60 extra on that refrigerator. It's just easier to go 15 minutes into another state to do things like that. That is killing the retail business on the Eastern Shore. So a variety of things. I know we have a Western Maryland guy, and you're affected by what's happening in Pennsylvania and West Virginia and maybe part of Virginia. We are just hurting ourselves. 2 years ago, I had a company, an international company, that wanted to move to Harford County. They were going to bring 850 jobs, 250 that year, and then expand over 3 years to 850 jobs. They heard what the government wanted to do about raising your income tax. For rich people, for rich people, $150,000 if you're rich now, not a millionaire. The owner of the company said, nope, I'm going to Virginia. So he went to Virginia. So I would have expanded, we could have expanded our economy by 850 jobs, their income tax, the fact they would have shopped here, all sorts of things, and volunteered here, and helped us out, but our governor just doesn't get that. So we have a choice in 2014, and some other people thought, okay, it's a bad state to run in. We have 24 counties. I always throw Baltimore City into that because that's what they're considered. 8 of those counties are 100% elected Republicans. 8 of them. And 14 of them are majority Republicans. So over half of those counties are that way. And we can continue to do that. We will, by 2014, have 10 county executives counting with the Republicans. When we have candidates like Alan Kittleman running in Howard County, and we have people running in, we're going to keep our seat. Barry Glassman is a state senator from Harford County. He's going to run for Harford County executive. We're going to take 6 of those seats, at least. That means we're building our farm team. Look at what happened with the Orioles. How did the Orioles turn around? They built the farm team. We started getting good players and bringing them in, and then putting them out on the field after they could do that. We can win seats. We can bring it up now. And with your help as young Republicans, getting out there and working, and even thinking about running. Either work on somebody's campaign or even think about running yourself. And one way we can turn around a place like Montgomery County is the exact way we did it in Harford County. We started helping people run, get an alderman running for Frederick County Alderman. That's what we started doing in Harford County. We started helping people run for Aberdeen, Grace, and Bell, our office. That was building our farm team. Then we knew we were going to have people who could run for office for our delegate, senator. When I ran as a city councilman in 1979, I was 29 years old. Howard Grace was 7-1 Democrat. People said the number was 2-1. When I ran for mayor, I became the youngest mayor. We had reduced it to 5-1. When I ran for House of Delegates, I became the first Republican ever elected from that district, beat a 5-term incumbent Democrat who's now serving on my financial team. This is another thing I do in elections. I don't run against people. And I applaud Charles for what he said about getting along, because when it's all over, we have to get back together and work together. We can't leave that other guy and say, okay, all right, they beat me or whatever, I'm not going to help out. But I didn't run against the guy. I wasn't vicious against him. I told people, I'm David Craig. I'm running for House of Delegates. This is my background. This is what I'm going to do. Let him say what he was going to say. Well, people agreed with us. I voted against all those tax increases. I voted against that gas tax increase in 1992. Proud of that. Voted against those gun control regulations in the 1990s that Shaker was putting out there. Voted against those pro-abortion issues that they had when they were out there. So have a record that people can look at, both on the political side and the personal side. And I will say, I didn't find my wife in college. We were elementary school sweethearts and high school sweethearts. We're getting our 42nd anniversary coming up. She's going to be a wonderful first lady. In 9 years since I've been county executive, she has been the chair of the Harford County United Charities and raised $1 million of money. And none of that money gets spent on any paid employees, and it goes to people with Alzheimer's, people with cancer, spouse abuse centers, all sorts of things. She's doing a phenomenal job, things like that. And the best part of her life and my life too is that when I ran for office, I said I wanted, for 3 reasons. Randy, Courtney, and PJ. That's our son and our 2 daughters. They were 5, 3, and 1. I said I want them to grow up, live in Harry Grace, and come back here when they're done. They did. They all live within a mile of us, all 8 grandchildren. So if I have a really bad day, I just go buy one in the house and have one of the grandchildren worship me. So I know what the life is like. Anyway, we'll open up for any questions you might have. I applaud the fact that you guys are here. We're gonna have some good races in 2014. We're gonna turn a lot of things around. We're gonna make it better for all of us in the state of Maryland. Yes, sir. Mr. New Candidate.
I usually know the answer to a question before I ask you a question, this time I don't. And I'm not gonna stick my neck out, and I don't think I'm sticking yours out either. But you say there's 10 counties that have executives.
There will be. But Frederick
So
is
there's 9
will be-
now.
Yeah, Frederick will be the 10th.
Out of those 9 counties, other than yours, which ones are financially successful?
Financially successful. Of the ones that I say will have it, Howard County's been pretty financially successful, and Emerald have been. Cecil County's had some problems. Frederick, I'm not sure about at this point. I know their tax rate's higher than mine because we've actually, as I said, lowered our tax rate. You have Wycomico County, which should have a Republican county executive, but they have a Democratic county executive right now because there was unfortunately an internal fight on the Republican side when that seat first opened up. And now we have some people down there who run for that office. So it's a variety of things have happened, and so we're doing pretty well. Prince George's County is not in a good shape, and Baltimore City obviously is not. Montgomery County does okay, but not strangely enough, 2 of the other ones, Baltimore County and Montgomery County, get a lot of extra money from the state government.
Why is that?
That we don't. They actually, their education systems do, and that's half your budget. Internally, we don't, but your education.
Your tax rate is better than any rest of them.
Our tax rate, what I've found is tax rates are usually lower in counties with a lot of cities. So ours is at $1.04, but a lot of counties don't include their fire, like Howard County doesn't include their fire tax. Frederick County didn't include their fire tax. So other counties don't include all these other taxes. We don't have a lot of those taxes. A lot of people said we've eliminated this tax or that tax, and we never had it. So 96% of our money comes from your income tax or your property tax. We get very little state support. I can tell you the governor has taken $45 million of our income, of our highway user revenue in the last 3 years. He's given that to other places. Baltimore City's got all of it. We didn't get it. So that's been on the foresight. And it all comes down to how their delegates vote on the budget. That's why I say when certain counties get a little bit more money, mine don't vote that way. They don't vote for the budget.
That brings another question to mind. The way the delegates vote usually determines whether they get any money back for the districts. Is that, is it in your opinion to better stand on your principles and not go along with those votes, or to go ahead and vote with the governor and get something back?
No, you should vote.
What is your price, is what I'm asking, when you do something like that?
I don't encourage my delegates to vote for the budget. I vote them to vote the way you want. Teddy Roosevelt, good Republican, said this: Republicans should stand up for what they believe is right. And that's what you believe is right. That's the way you should stand up. That's the way you should vote. And I'm not going to try to force them and say, look, if you don't vote for this budget, I'm going to screw you. No, I'm not going to do that to them.
So you go for
And
the
you
principles,
shouldn't
go for
sell
your principles instead of the dollar.
You should vote. You should vote your principles. Yes. Just because if they come to you and say, if you don't vote for this budget, we're going to cut out that capital project. Okay. Cut it out. They did it to me all the time. I forward funded over $250 million in school construction because the governor wouldn't. I got him back though. He did want to come. He said, so we're going to do the groundbreaking for this one school you're building, new high school we were building, which he had not funded. I said, you bringing the check? He said, what do you mean? I said, you owe me $42 million for it. You gonna bring the check? Guess what? He canceled the groundbreaking. He didn't come. So, no, stand up for what you believe is right and vote the way you believe.
Thank you.
All the way to that.
Conley's Rice mentioned recently, how come the public part of this umbrella is bigger? That's why he lost a lot of elections, at least at the federal level. What about the state level? You have to communicate ideas properly, compromise, I guess. I know some Democrats, really Republicans, they can't win in Maryland the Republican way. I know one in Government County. So So don't knock Democrats down the head with ideas. Yeah.
Well,
All
one thing
of it.
is, we got to get people off their sofa to vote.
Right.
Bob Ehrlich would have won the election in 2010 if a larger percentage of Republicans had gone out and voted. This is a little surprise. We would have won the election in Baltimore City for mayor if a Republican had run and half of the Republicans had showed up to vote, even though we only have 33,000 Republicans there. Get out and vote, and get those people out and vote. And like you said, in Montgomery County, there are many people who really are Republicans, but they register Democrat because it's all about the primary.
Right.
It's like, and that was one of the things we did as young Republicans in Harper County. We said, no, we're going to offer you a choice. Don't do that anymore. You know, let them vote for who they want. So that we got to get those people back on board and say, look, come back to the party, vote for us, you know, vote for, run, help us out. That's, you know, when we had the election in Massachusetts, same thing. When Brown won, 86% of those people were Democrat, but most of them, a lot of them were Republican.
Well, the independent, yeah. They should, yeah. You think should independents be able to vote primary, or should keep the law the same?
That would be a good issue, I think, for our party. If our party did that, if our party allowed independents to do that, it would be interesting to see it, but I don't see it as anything we need to do yet.
Okay.
I think we just, we can reach out to them after the primary and tell people, all right, here, give them a real choice. And we are going to give you a choice.
What about both parties vote for the best candidate, both parties, and then one in the general election?
Pardon, say that again?
Both parties vote for the candidate, each party thinks the best candidate, then general elections vote for one of them.
Well, the problem we have in some states, is a lot of
They do
Democrats
that?
will vote for who they think is the losing Republican.
I
So you don't want that.
I got it, okay.
So you gotta be cautious about that.
Okay, got it,
All right,
okay.
this is the weak guy, we want him to win,
Okay.
so we can knock him off. So you gotta be cautious about
Yeah,
that.
okay, gotcha, okay.
More questions?
Thank you very much. Have a good day.